Yes, yes, yes.
Cool, cool.
Stuck off the realness. Our 3 month anniversary today. We got a special guest in the building. Ninth Wonder. It's a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much, brother, for your time. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me, brother. For sure.
Or and of course we got Dr. Tall Craig, myself,
Yo,
the HABOC. How's the school thing starting for you, Knife, this year?
Good,
How's it?
man. This is year 18 for me in higher education. Which is can't believe I've been in higher education for 18 years, but it's definitely I learn something new every year. Students change every year in the way they think and what they listen to and what they like. And I love it, man. Love it for sure.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, Todd is a professor himself
Hmm.
over there. You teach in New York, right?
yeah. I'm at CUNY, so I'm at in the African American Studies department at New York City College of Technology, and then in the English department at the CUNY Graduate Center.
Mm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
So
two professors on. We got two professors on, two producers on. You know what I'm saying? This should be a crazy, dope conversation. And last week, me and Todd was trying to come up with, something to talk about that would be kind of cool in hip hop. You know, should we have a old category, a OG, a OG category? I'm saying the divide is crazy, and y'all see the divide every day. You know,
Right,
yeah, both teaching hip hop, and even outside of the classroom, we
right,
see the divide everywhere. Sometimes we'll mention certain artists and certain songs to some of the youngins, and they might not even have a clue. You know what I
right,
mean to
right.
what's going on. Um, what do you find when you put these youngins on to some of the new music that's out there? I'm not new music, the previous generations, like from our generation. How do they take it? How do they receive it?
Um, it depends. I never like to put all of the youth in one box. Because like I said, we're at a time now where a majority of my students, their parents are my age. So it depends on if the parent has done their quote unquote job in turning them on to music from our time, right?
Mhm.
Um, I, I have children, and especially with my daughters, my daughters are now 23 and 20 years old, and at a very young age, I just immersed them in not only just hip hop from the 90s, but everything, SOS band, like everything that I consumed from when I was a kid, even before me, all the way up. I mean, it could be the Spinners, it could be Duran Duran. I don't care what it was.
Right.
They just consumed all of that. So by the time they got old enough to make their own choices, they chose something that felt like that. The
Mm.
problem is now is a lot of I mean, use a lot of kids loosely, but some kids don't understand what it feels like.
Mm.
Like they don't they don't understand the grasp of soul. Some do because of how they were raised. Some don't. So it's not necessarily where the old thing comes in. It's more of a situation of, can you understand the vibe? Has somebody taught you the vibe? Can you feel the vibe? And if you're 18 and can feel it, fine. That's cool. If it's 18 and you can make it, that's fine. I think we've seen that before with the coming of Joey Badass. Joey Badass was like, when he put out 1999, it was like he was a throwback, but he was new
right.
Right.
because he was hip to it. But it's a lot of kids that have abandoned that, and that's fine. They're supposed to. It's just now, what do we do with that great divide? What do we do with a 50-year-old genre with albums that are now 30 years old, but that sound hasn't left from the consumer that consumed it 30 years ago?
Mhm.
What do we do with that audience? How do we feed that audience? Is there a place where that audience can go And do they have to keep mixing with the 50 million rappers that come out every week now? We might not want to do that. So that's kind of where the idea of a different category came up to me. So
Right. True. I mean, you know, today it seems like it's a mix of everything is in there, right? Like we got the the older genre, the newer genres is in there, and I think the kids today, a lot of them is kind of, I'm not going to say tired of everything that come out, because a lot of the things that come out today, it sounds the same.
it's redundant,
You
right?
know what I'm saying? It really, but I don't want to knock, you know what I'm saying, the newer generations. I think that's because of the technology that's out there now. You know what I mean? I think it's more accessible, it's more easier for them to get to. And not only that, I think that a lot of these artists today are like chasing hits and they're not taking risks. They're just chasing hits. They just want to stay in a safe comfort zone, like a safe box. You know what I mean? So when they finally get put on to, the I think a more rounded MC these days would be somebody that comes from parents or somebody that was exposed to, like you said, exposed to the earlier hip hop and things of that nature. So, you know, it's actually a good thing. But when the powers that be try to like cause a divide between the different generations of music, I think that's where it's a problem at. When you agree, Todd?
Yeah, I mean, I think it. So I think there's a couple different things. I think like how Ninth was saying that there's those young people that they could catch the vibe, they feel it, and you could hear that in their music. You could hear it in the rhymes, you could hear it in the production. Joey Badass is a great example. You can hear when people either have had their parents submerge them in that music, or if they've just had an open ear and they, and I think this happens to all of us with technology. Like you start on YouTube listening to Shook Ones Part 2, and the next thing you know, you on Mob Mrs. Part 17. You done spent 2 hours just consuming different music and different sounds. So I think that's a part of it. The thing that I'm curious about, and Ninth, I want to ask you this, is when I know you're one of the people who have really been kind of having this conversation of like an adult contemporary category.
Right.
What, and this kind of goes to what I think Wahab is mentioning. What's the cutoff point? Like, what's the point where you say, okay, this fits into, sort of hip hop from today, but now if it's from this year or beyond, now you're sitting in like an adult contemporary category?
My thing is that it's kind of like the way, if we're looking at it from a category, and it's important to have categories if we're looking at it from a Grammy sense. And people like to say the Grammys don't matter until they win one, and then it matters, right? You know what I mean? Everybody likes to say the Grammy. I don't care about the Grammys.
Right.
Until they call you and say you nominated, then next thing you know, you are paying 50 for a suit and you out on the carpet. Then it matters. Right. So, nah, man, I don't think it's a cutoff point. I think it's the criteria. The Grammys has every category they have criteria to it, right? And the more I teach, the more I talk to young kids in my classes, their criteria, for the most part, their criteria is for why they like rappers and what they listen for in rappers is totally different from ours.
Right.
It is a different conversation. They'll tell you the things you listen for in beats and rappers, that's not our thing, right? Reason being is because a lot of kids are so distracted by so many other things that even why they like a rapper, who they're dating, what have they done is for outside of hip hop, right? The Instagram numbers, blah, blah, blah. What is the hitch, or what's the thing that's going to attach me to this rapper, because I'm battling against all these other rappers that's been released last week, right?
Right.
So my attention span is like short to even, it's not filtered to them like it was filtered to us. It's not a Rap City comes on in the afternoon and it's 20 videos they're going to show on Rap City, and there are 20 new videos that's not available on any medium yet, right? For example, fall of 1994, I'm in college. I'm in my man's room. He's from New York. His roommate's from North Carolina. Rap City is on. I'm in the room. I'm about to walk out the room to go back to my room. Next thing you know, this video comes on. I'm about to walk out. It's two dudes walking around a fire, a barrel with fire coming out of it with Hennessy shirts on. And I'm like, okay. I stopped. Right?
As you should.
And I'm stopped. And they ride across the bridge. Burn, burn. Right? I'm like, okay. So, well, I said that all to say it was introduced to me different. It was filtered to me different. There is tastemakers that say, this is dope. This is not. The culture at the time was more controlled by DJs and people and R's that really knew the culture, as opposed to now that judge things by numbers. And so a lot of kids now, you got some kids that say, well, I go to iTunes and if it ain't got 5 stars besides, I don't even listen to it.
Wow.
That's how they judge it. You know what I mean? So the criteria of what makes a rapper good is different. The criteria for a kid might say, well, I like the way, he or she does this on the record. Our thing was, it's the flow, it's the concept, it's the story, it's the album itself, it's the metaphors that's used, the similes that's used, it's all of that. A lot of kids don't judge rappers like that. It's who they was dating last week.
Right.
So the criteria, even for beats, different. The bop is different. Everything is different. And the Grammys did that with R&B. There's a traditional R&B category, and there's an urban contemporary category. And they don't put Layla Hathaway and SZA in the same category.
Right.
They just don't. And that's kind of what I was trying to say. Instead of it being old versus young, it's how does this generation and the people that understand this generation judge hip-hop? And how does this generation judge hip-hop? How was the different listening publics judge it? And should it be separated? Should Common be in a category with, I don't know, Lil Kiki? Not Lil Kiki. I don't want to say Sexy Red. Somebody younger, Young Boy. Should they be in the same category? Should Young Thug be in the same category as Nas? Should that? The two listening publics, they ain't even on the same. They're not even thinking the same way. It's like we listen to Thug for this melody that he got. We listen to Nas because what he's saying and it means something. It's a story. Those are the two criterias, and two generations live by these two criterias, and we'll argue all day about what that is. So that's what I mean by I don't think it's a time limit. I don't think it's a cutoff. I don't think that excludes Joey Badass. That excludes J. Cole. That excludes Kendrick, of course. That excludes those rappers. I mean, you got Samara Joy, who won New Artist, Best New Artist. She sounds like she's from 1923. But she's 23 years old. So it's like, what do we do with her? Do we put her in the same category as Ariana Grande? No. She's in a category of classical jazz. Like, that's her. So that's what it has nothing to do really age. It's more to do with sound for me.
Ninth, let me ask you one other question about this, because I was thinking about this last year. I was at a high school and I was talking to some young high school kids, and we were talking about hip hop, and I told them I was excited that Killer Mike had won the best album, and that he had done. And they were like, "Who's Killer Mike?" Like, and so I had to have a whole conversation with them about, listen, so you don't understand Killer Mike's solo album, so you need to listen to that because there's a reason it won the award. But then you gotta listen to Run the Jewels. Then you gotta listen to his work with Outkast and the Dungeon Family. There's a whole history that Killer Mike brings to the table. So when he gets here, it's well deserved. So the question I have for you is it at what point when we're separating those categories, and I agree, it makes sense, the argument that you're making. Absolutely.
Right.
I think the flip side of that is the way it is now. Is this a moment where our generation gets to put the younger generation on when someone like a Killer Mike wins, or when Nas wins for the work he's doing with Hit Boy? Is there, like, how do we kind of make sense of sort of that moment where we could kind of bridge that generational gap, versus if we're kind of separating it, it almost feels like it's two different sets of awards?
Okay. Killer Mike is the anomaly in this conversation. If we talk about Nas won his Grammy against, listen to these names: Jay Electronica, Royce da 5'9", Freddie Gibbs. The same type of flavor. I mean, it was Nas and Hit Boy. It was Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist. It was Royce da 5'9", and the producers he had, and it was Jay Electronica. Those four, and it was also D Smoke was the fifth person.
Right.
But those four not only sound like they came from the same kind of cloth, but also came from the same era almost. Killer Mike is an anomaly because, and if you talk to Killer Mike, ask him how much marketing power it took for him, not to say that it wasn't good, but to cut through. Cut through meaning, out of all this music that's out, how to cut through. Now that's the conversation now. It's how do me and Young Guru calling it cutting through the noise, which means rising above the rest as far of like marketing dollars. That's what it is. So now it's more of that than anything else. And that's why you got, and even when you talk about those students, I had the same students. Who is Killer Mike? And I'm like, okay, I have to explain to who Killer Mike is. But then at the same time, asking them to do this and asking them to make a fair judgment is out of this world. Right. Yeah, go home and listen to it. That's not enough for them. For them, it's like, why is this dude who's not as famous as this dude winning? That's the point. That's all they know. Why is this guy that I've never heard of win? Because in their mind, the person that's heard of the most should win. The person that I'm more familiar with should win. It shouldn't be, well, a person that that's not as popular. They don't understand the concept of not being as popular and equate that to being good. You see what I mean? Like, they don't equate that. It's kind of like, again, Fall 94. Let's go back to Fall 94. Like, I heard an album in Fall 94 that in my dorm room, in my dorm, we played the hell out of. Did it sell a lot? Absolutely not. Did we need Billboard to tell us to play it? Absolutely not. Did we need any other qualifier to tell us to play it? Absolutely not. And that album was OC Word Life. We played the hell. If I play Time's Up in a party for niggas my age, they know. We didn't need all of these Instagram numbers, YouTube. Were they on the Breakfast Club? Were they on? Did they talk to Sway in the morning? Did they do this? We didn't need all that. It was press play, nigga. Press play. And for a lot of kids, I'm telling you, and a lot of kids who judge music, press play is the last thing. That's the last thing they come to. It's so much they need to do to press play. It's so much they gotta have. It's gotta be a TikTok dance. Right. It's gotta be somebody done how to get shot somewhere. It's gotta be who they dating. Right. It's gotta be all of that before I take my time out to press play. And unfortunately enough for Killer Mike, He had the monetary finance to be able to fund himself to get over the damn noise. And that's an anomaly. If you look at the last 15 nominations and who won,
Right.
Yeah.
for that, elder statesman to win amongst those kids, but the kids was mad as hell. They were like,
Yeah. Yeah.
who this dude, man? Nobody know this dude. And it's like, nah, we know him, but
Right.
he counted us out. We don't count according to you. But it's like, we know the dude. You
Right.
just don't know the dude. Well, if he won, don't nobody know him, so how he win? Because his music was good. And that's not enough for them. So
I think the awards, like, the people like the Grammys and stuff like that, I think they're doing a better job.
better
What I'm
job.
saying, in that way, because for years, people that were getting nominated and winning, it didn't match up to what we was feeling. Like you said, in your dorm, it was never panning out that way. So the fact that Killer Mike was able to win now and just be like, oh shit, yeah, that's right, they getting it right this year, like it's coming up. Do you think it's our job to make sure that our fellow colleagues are getting nominated the way they're supposed to be getting nominated these days?
Glad you said that. So in 2017, and I could talk about this now, I couldn't talk about it then, but in 2017, they started their first ever in Grammys, a rap committee. Rap and R&B used to be combined. Imagine that room. Right. A rap room and the R&B room used to be combined. So the same quote unquote R&B aficionados was voting on rap albums. Did that make any sense? No. Absolutely not. Right. So 2017 was the first time they had a rap committee. The first time. A room full of people. They don't have committees anymore, matter of fact. But a room full of people that was astute in the culture, knew what they were talking about. A myriad, it was young folk and older folk. It was a myriad of people. And that's what it was. The process went like this. They give you a list of 25 albums, okay? The 25 albums that make this particular list. How do they get to that list? You know them, and have you know what I'm talking about? The Grammy send you a ballot in the mail. If you are a member of Grammy Academy or Grammy, if you're a member of the Grammy Academy or the Recording Academy, they send you a ballot, right?
Yep.
It's a bunch of albums. Anybody could submit their album. Anybody you put it out, as long as you submit it as long as your album come out before September, at the time of September 1st and then September 28th, if you put your album out for then, you can submit your album. So then they send out a long ballot. You can only vote for, I don't know, 5 each category. 5 in this, on the rap albums, 5 in the traditional whatever. You vote for 5 in world music. You don't know nothing about world music. You just, I guess, man. Look, shit, Johnny, Kenny G. But you know what I mean? So you're putting out, so you're selection. So what happens by the time it got to us, it's now, they took all the ballots from across the country. It is now 25 albums on a list, rap albums. From that list, you have to choose, that room has to choose 5 albums and 2 alternates. Got it? Okay. You got to choose, you got to choose 5 and 2, right? So now it's like you go around the room, you ask everybody to give me your 5 from the list that we have, from this 25 albums, give me your 5. So you have somebody, it's like spades. Y'all play spades before? It's like they'll sit there, they'll say, all right, Ninth, man, I'm looking at this list, man. I ain't got number 3 in the possible over here. I got 3 I like. I don't even know about the other 2. You know, whatever. I don't even know. I'm stuck. So you might have some people like, I got 4. I got some people like, man, I don't like number 2 albums up here, bro. So that's what you're dealing with. So that started in 2017. Okay. So if you look at 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020, if you look at those rap categories, so some of the best rap categories you've seen in a long time. 2017 was 444, Damn, Layla's Wisdom, a Flower Boy, and Migos Culture 2, right? 2018 was Daytona, Nipsey Hussle's record, Invasion of Privacy, 2 more albums. 2019 was a Corday record, couple of more. 2020 is we was really going for it. The J Electronica album, Alfredo, Royce the 5'9". You see what I mean?
Right.
That's because when they changed from R&B rap to just rap, we're judging rap because we know how to judge rap. So that's how the categories went. Now, once we get our 5 down, once it leaves us, it's out of our hands.
Right.
But we at least get the 5 right.
Right.
We at least try to get the 5 right.
Right.
And I did it. I was on that committee from 2017 to 2018. And let me tell you something else about that committee too. I had to go around and handpick people from it for it. I had a list. I asked a lot of people.
Right.
You know what I got? Nah, man, the Grammys, man, I don't know. Nah, I don't think I want to be involved in that. And these are legends. And I'm like, all right, man, like this, here's our chance. Here's our chance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Here's our chance to change the course of time.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know if I want to be involved in that. I don't know that. What am I? You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what happened. So, but I can say from the last 17, 18, 19, and 20 was really solid on the albums that were chosen at that particular time.
True. I mean, I think it's our responsibility, like, for you to be able to go around and be like, yo, bro, it's time. We about to, because I feel like, you know, a lot of us in hip hop always complain about these awards. We always complain about it. And, you know, it's almost like when we complain about the police, but never part of the process. Like, how can you complain about the police if you're not part of the process? Be part of the hiring process.
You got to vote. You got to vote.
You have to vote.
2018 when it started. 2018.
So here we go. Chance the Rapper 2017 with Coloring Book. Kendrick Lamar with Damn in 2018.
It's the year of 2018. That's when I started to be on the committee. Right?
Yeah, because so you're saying 2018 was only good because you produced for Kendrick on there. Okay, I got
Absolutely not. And so here's the thing about that, and I'm glad that you said that too. It was called conflict of interest. If you had anything to do with any album on that list that the room chose, you had to leave the room.
Oh,
okay.
I am connected to 3 albums on that list: Layla's Wisdom,
right?
Jay-Z, and Kendrick Lamar.
Wow.
So I had to leave. I couldn't. You can't vote. You can't do anything, and you can't sway the room either. You can't sway the room. You can't say, "All right, you got to do this, you got to do that." No, you can't sway the room. You have to leave. A lot of us had to leave because I think at that time, I think Mixed by Ali was on the committee that year. I think Big Boy was on the committee that year because we was talking about the solo album he had.
Right.
Because his joint was on the list.
Right.
So it's like, that's how, it wasn't like they like to say a bunch of white men in the room choosing albums. No, it wasn't like that at all. We were having serious conversation. Even look at 2019. Mac Miller, Nipsey Hussle, Cardi B, Pusha T, and Travis Scott. That's very well-rounded, very artistic. That's what it is. Let's look at the next year. What's the next year?
We got 2020, Tyler, the Creator with Igor. You got Dreamville, Revenge of the Dreamers 3, Meek Mill, Championships, 21 Savage, I Am is Greater Than I Was, and Corday, the Lost Boy.
Look at the next year.
Nas with King's Disease, Freddie Gibbs, and Alchemist, Royce da 5'9", J Electronica, D Smoke.
That's a room full of people. So when we get to 22, I think it's 2022, 2023, when they're around there, they killed the committees. There is no rap committee anymore.
So what do they do? So what are they doing now?
I don't know. I haven't been involved. I haven't been involved since 2019. I haven't been involved. So I don't know. But they killed the committees.
Or Ninth, when you say they killed the committees, are you just talking about for the hip hop categories, or they killed committees?
There's no more committees. There's no more like R&B committee, rap committee. There's no more of that. They killed it.
Wow. And from the looks of it, it was really going places now. Like, you know, the way that it was being done, it was like it's pretty fair. You know what I mean? It's like it's pretty fair. I never really had a glimpse on the inside like this before in my life until today. And just the way you talking about it just made me super optimistic about, a lot of our folks try to say they don't give a fuck about the Grammys and all of that stuff. But look, it's half and half. I give a fuck about it. You know what I'm saying? I do, because as an artist, I love to be acknowledged. You know what I'm saying? No matter who is by. But do I say that's the end all be all? You know, if I didn't get nominated or did, no. You know what I'm saying? Because we know the real acknowledgement is from the foundation, and you make this art to be recognized on all levels. You know what I mean? So this gives me hope, but damn, they killed the committee. So I'm wondering, like, if you had to guess, what's your theory on how you think they're going to be picking it now?
I have no idea. You know, it's a very strenuous process. You're in a room for 2 days. Well, we're in a room for 2 days, from like 9 in the morning to like 5 that evening, and it's a conversation. And I remember being in a room in 2018, and we were starting to have the conversations of was just really like rap, like lyricism rap, different from melodic rap? Was it different? We were starting to have that conversation then. Like,
right,
should it be judged different? Should you put a Young Thug in the same category as a Royce da 5'9"? Would it be judged the same? Is it the same ears? So it's like we started to have that conversation then, and then it got really dicey, because it's like, okay, then if you write out Grammy categories, it's like for songs that contains 50% or more of melodic rap or whatever. So then the question is, okay, by that metric, is Slick Rick Hey Young World a melodic rap song?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now we're getting dicey. So it became that, man. But it's a long, strenuous days. It's a lot of arguments. It's a lot of, nigga, that shit ain't hot. I don't like it. It's a lot of that.
Right.
It's a lot of different demographics and a lot of regions of the country all in the same room. And sometimes we was like, you can't, victory, like what are we talking about? And it wasn't because Nipsey was famous. It was a great album, and it should be recognized. It was another album that we were talking about being nominated one year that didn't make the final cut. Is a kid from LA by the name of Buddy. And he had an album called Harlan and Alondra. And we thought that album was amazing. It just didn't make the top 5. So it's like, but it made the top 25 out of all the albums that was submitted for Grammys, which is, that's tough. So it's that type of thing, man. It was really good, man. We were really controlling the narrative, and we were really controlling how people saw the culture and how diverse the culture could be.
Now that's dope. Nice. Shout out to you for doing that work. But then also, like, to the elder statesman of the culture that's out there listening right now, the next time they call you to be on the committee, you gotta be on the committee. That changes the game. Like, because imagine if your peers imagine if there's a room of your peers who are now talking about the Murder Music album in '99.
Right.
Like, how does that conversation now look different?
It looks totally different. We have a historical presence of the music that we're talking about. We know exactly what we're listening for. We understand the different dynamics of the culture too. Like we know this album serves a purpose different from this album. And it's that. And this is, you're not just sitting in a room with people who haven't done it. These people have done it. You know what I mean? And done it time and time over. And we were always better. And Havoc knows this. Havoc, how old are you?
50. Don't remind me.
Okay. So here's the dynamic between Havoc and I. It's like he's 50. I turned 50 in January. We're the same age in years. We're not the same age in industry years, which means he was in the industry way longer than I was and way before I was, right? So that's a serious thing. Like that's something to really think about. So if I'm in a room with people that's my age, but really not my musical peers. I'm listening to them too, because I'm thinking, well, shit, man, I've been a fan of you for 10, 12 years, but we the same age. Like it's different. So it was just very important for us to control that narrative. Don't let nobody else control what we have and who we are. And don't let nobody coming from outside the culture tell us what albums are important to us. That was the thing. And we judged that not by record sales, not by anything else. It's like, this album is dope. This album is dope. And the world needs to know that. So that's what it is.
Well,
and do you go ahead?
Go ahead, Have.
No, what I was gonna say was, do you think the few boycotts that happened against the Grammys were they instrumental? Did they work? Were they valid?
I think the first time, the not being able to televise it on television when they had the boycott of the Grammys when Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff won for Parents Just Don't Understand. I think that was very important. I mean, this was a time where we're fighting, as Dr. Craig said, we're fighting for airtime for hip hop. This is 1988, 1989. You're on TV Raps is on for maybe 30 minutes or an hour. Most radio stations around the country are not playing hip hop around the clock, as opposed to maybe a renegade show in New York City or something like that. They didn't start to have hip hop around the clock stations until like 1990 around the country. So we're fighting for space. So that was important at that time. But I always ask this question, man, and I've been asking this question for a very long time, bro. And it's gonna open up a whole nother Pandora's box. Assimilation is a serious thing. It's like sometimes we fight to be in these spaces, and when we get there, we don't like it, and then we tell ourselves we should have created a space for our own. And we can go all the way back to Jackie Robinson, bro. Should he have went to the Major League Baseball and made a very, very big, it was so monumental, the desegregation of baseball. But then you have some people to say, what would have happened if he would have stayed in the Negro Leagues and built from there? Like, those are the kind of arguments that we have that some people, us as historians, Dr. Craig, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would have happened if we would have stayed in our own schools instead of desegregating and going to other schools? Same thing with hip hop. When Rapper's Delight came out, when the message dropped on the same label by Sylvia Robinson, 2 different messages. What would have happened if we would have had our own version of Billboard, brother, instead of trying to fight and got on their time? What would have happened? And that's kind of the conversations. We argue about wanting to be in these spaces, and once we get there, we figure we don't like it. It's like, why we fight to get here, man? They ain't really for us, and they play by different rules. We should start our own thing. So that's kind of like, not only hip hop, just culture, period, man.
True.
Yeah. So
one thing I was just going to add was imagine a parallel universe in which the Negro Leagues were just as big as the MLB, and there was a white player that desegregated in the Negro Leagues.
Right.
Wow.
I mean, you can make the argument about hip hop, being that case
Right.
in this universe.
Absolutely.
Because hip hop, I mean, look, it is a black genre that grew up in what, in the inner cities, and people wanted to be a part of it. So you have people who have had no experience living in the hood, me for example, all like being all about it and just like wanting to consume as much about it as possible, because not only does it sound good, but it gives us a perspective on a part of life that we never experienced.
Right. I mean, definitely that. I mean, you know, it came from, you know, and this has been an argument for years, Bronx, Queens. And, you know, 1965, when they created the Cross Bronx Expressway, the Bronx didn't look the way it looked. The Cross Bronx tore, the building of that, construction of that highway completely tore up what the Bronx was. And not necessarily would say it was the hood because it was ran down by its tenants. It was the hood because it was gentrification. Like, it ripped it apart. It made it look like a demilitarized war zone. So what do you do with that? And then when the Immigration Act changed, it went from the Bronx being majority white European to Haitian, Jamaican, Asian, Latino. It changed it changed everything about the Bronx for that. So now you dealing with all these cultures in one place, and they use your music to talk to each other at this particular point. So it was more about that than anything else. Like, the hood don't become the hood without some type of governmental policy. Like, this is what it is. Like, it don't become, neighborhoods are not destroyed and torn down if somebody didn't do it.
Right.
And for whatever reason, that's a whole nother class. But you know, it's Dr. Craig knows what I'm talking about. But it's more of a situation where you're absolutely right. It is a black diasporic driven culture by the creation, not by the control. It is controlled by somebody else. The higher you go up, everybody don't look like us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When you come down to the creators, they look like us. And so that's just what it is. Like, you know, Eminem coming in and being one of the greatest rappers of our time, there's still some type of tenets he had to follow to be listed as. And so that's what it is. But I hear exactly what you're saying. It could have been the other way around. It could have been that, but we still don't control what we make.
I mean, you can also make the case that black artists are, you know, starting to desegregate country music right now. I mean, just look at Beyonce's album and how she popularized that. But it's been going on for years before her.
Well, I want to say we're trying to desegregate it. I don't call something we created desegregated.
Oh, 100%. I didn't mean it like that.
It like I hear what you're saying. Like, for modern day terms, it's like something that is modern day looked at as completely, you know, Caucasian and from a different part of the country.
White dominated, for sure.
Her coming in, that ripped some shit up. Everybody, motherfucker wasn't mad, wasn't happy about that. For sure. It wasn't.
Now, Knife, what in terms of so where do you think we go from here in terms of if we had those committees at the Grammys and that's been dissolved now? So there's a moment where we start to control the narrative and that gets lost.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think should be the next move? Is it to try to get those committees back? Is it to create a completely alternative award system?
I don't know, man. I mean, we are just missing what's the qualifiers to us, right? I can think about the 6 vessels of qualification I needed that qualified. There was a qualifier to me. Yo MTV Raps, Rap City, Ebony Magazine, Jet Magazine. We're gonna put Video Soul, Video Vibrations all in the same thing.
Right.
And last but not least, probably one of the most important pieces we ever had is the Arsenio Hall show. Those 6 things, if you made it to that level, we didn't care about anything else. Like we didn't, like, let's take the, I mean, and I just had to explain this to a young boy. We were talking about Billboard, and I told him, I couldn't tell you what number damn the Infamous was on Billboard. I didn't care. Like none of us cared. None of us cared about what did it do that week, and what did it do on Billboard. We did not care, bro. Anything we list as a classic in the 90s, I couldn't tell you what number it was on Billboard, man. I didn't really care. My thing was press and play. So we have to get back to what's important to us. Who are the qualifiers for us? We got a few. If you go on Sway in the morning, Sway still holds the culture down, right? If you do that. At one point, we had hip hop honors. If you made it there, you were considered a great. To be honest, not only for hip hop, but period. The Unsung series that they had on TV One, that was a major. That was a teaching moment. That was whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. Another thing that we had was Rock the Bells. The Rock the Bells festival. Having Rock the Bells, it was like, yo, there was a great thing because now you're celebrating the albums when the Jizza did Liquid Swords in its entirety. When Lauryn Hill did in its entirety. When Nas did Illmatic in its entirety. Those are the things, the steps we were taking to make our own. We were deciding for us and letting everybody know these are our greats. We don't care what that Billboard says. These are our greats. These are the albums for us. So if you take, like I said, if you take the top 15 classic albums from 1993 to 1998, I'll be hard pressed to find if one of them debuted first on Billboard. The Chronic did, maybe. Doggy Style did, maybe. Right? Illmatic didn't.
Right.
And it's not Billboard rap. This is Billboard #1. I don't think Ready to Die did.
Right.
I don't think ATLians did.
Yeah.
I don't think Only Built did. I don't think any of them did. But we didn't care because if we had qualifiers everywhere. The Source, that was another one. 5, 4.5. Like that, but meant a lot for us.
Yeah.
And
all them qualifiers are gone, man. They're gone.
And like the only other qualifier I would add to your list, and I don't know, y'all might have had something different in North Carolina, but there was those local qualifiers that became real important. So for us in New York, Uncle Ralph and Video Music Box, you made it to Video Music Box, you was out of here.
Right. It was us, but that, for us, it was, again, Rap City, Your MTV Raps.
Right.
If you made it beside Ed Love and Dr. Dre, if you made it on, at that time, it was Prince DeJour. I might be losing some people, but it was Prince DeJour. If it was the mayor, Chris Thomas, then it was Prince DeJour. If you made it there, you made it. If you made like New Video of the Day or whatever on Rap City, before TRL, before 106 in Park, it was, these are the videos chosen by us that are that thing. And that's what we had. And we don't have those filters anymore. We don't have them. We try, but we're not controlling our own culture anymore, man. This is crazy.
You guys remember a show on MTV called Total Request Live?
Yeah.
So
on MTV?
On MTV. TRL, Carson Daly.
That's TRL. That's TRL.
Yeah, it feels like that show was on yesterday. But if you remember, at the turn of the century, it was one of those shows where several artists would actually come through and they would debut, say, like their music video. And I remember specifically Outkast coming in to promote their greatest hits album. Again, this is 1999. And Outkast has been around for what? They dropped 94, yeah. Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music.
Right.
They dropped The Whole World with Killer Mike. First time anybody ever heard of Killer Mike.
Right.
It kind of just brings it all the way back to there. once you make it to TRL at the turn of the century, that's not considered like that mainstream anymore. But that was the mainstream. If you hit it, you made it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's even for us, there was mainstream in the 90s was the B-52s, REM, Madonna, Pearl Jam. That's mainstream, right? Then there was a black mainstream. Like we had our own mainstream,
right?
Like SWV, J, Mobb Deep, Crime McKnight. Like that was our own mainstream. And again, as long as it made it to videos, as long as they talked to Madeline Woods, Donnie Simpson, Rachel, Sherry Carter, Prince DeJour, Arsenio Hall, Dr. Dre and Ed Lover, you made it. This is it. And then made the Jet Magazine top 20 albums.
Right.
That's all I needed. I didn't need the Grammys to tell me nothing. Grammy, I don't care about that. We playing that already.
And Todd, you remember them Jet magazines because we used to get them.
My mom's had the subscription to Jet magazine. That came in the mail and that made the whole house hype because moms would be reading the articles, we'd be looking at the albums.
Bro, listen, man. I went and looked. Nita Baker's Rapture came in on 86 or 85, low 80s on the Billboard Top 100. Okay? Nigga, Anita Baker's Rapture was #1 in Jet magazine for like a year.
and there wasn't nobody who was telling you not listening to that album.
He didn't get Anita Baker for like a year. It was like Anita Baker was reign supreme for a year. Like, we had some albums that were big that crossed over, but it was still ours. Like Bobby Brown's "Don't Be Cruel." Right. It was a few albums that was so huge, but still, it was #1 in Jet.
Right.
It was #2 in Jet. It was Make It Last Forever. I don't know how many American Caucasians have heard that. I don't.
Right.
But we heard it. We heard it, man. And that's all that mattered. That's all that mattered.
For real. I mean, do you think that is it us that's letting these certain criterias go? Like, is it us? Like, we just letting it fall to the wayside now and just complaining?
Yeah, I mean, I think we don't want to be looked at as. Some of us are ashamed to say we uphold the culture, whatever the culture is. We just don't want to be looked at as, oh man, that's old, blah blah. Like, we don't look at music. And I say this all the time because I'm probably a bigger basketball fan than I am a music fan. We don't look at music as sport, right? We don't look at it on the same plane. I don't care what happens. Them boys in Cooperstown with that baseball Hall of Fame, family, you're not getting in. I don't care what you've done. This is your tradition. This is what we are. And we're not budging for anybody. If you was on them roids, guess what, fam? You not getting in. I don't care. Pete Rose, I don't care. You bet on baseball, you're not in. So what? And we don't care what you think. We got to the point where we start caring what other people think. Not looked at as a hater. We don't want to be looked at as this. We don't want to be looked at as talking about getting on somebody's money or downplaying somebody's money. We put the money before the culture. And then that's what happened. It used to be a time when you can make, I mean, come on. Okay. Let's ask somebody who was there. And I ask this question all the time. When y'all did the infamous Havoc, y'all knew y'all was going to get a bag from it. Consider what a bag was then, right? What was more of your concern? Was more of your concern getting the bag, or was more of your concern beating the rest of the albums that came out in 1995 creatively?
I would definitely have to say beating most of the albums that came out creatively, straight up, before the bag.
The bag was a given. The bag was if you signed at that time, you do some shows, 5Gs here, 10G, nigga, we eating, right? But the most important thing was, shit, man. Y'all heard Liquid Swords, man? I just came from Jizzle Studio. It's crazy over there.
Word.
What we gonna do? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We lost that. We lost. DJ Premier tells the story of going to, he was working on Daily Operation, 92. And he went to LA and listened to what now became The Chronic. Premier said, man, I came home, man, and erased and start over. We don't do that no more. We don't do that. That's sport. That's the sport of it. It's like we all got money when everything is equal, whatever it is. But whole man, hey man, y'all heard the Purple tape? Man, Raekwon just played it for me. I just heard Criminology, and I'm fucked up. What we gonna do? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It ain't happening now, man. It ain't that kind of competition is not happening. Right.
And I think it's just the landscape has changed so much, and I don't think a lot of us haven't been good uncles to the kids that's coming up now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because I think we mind our business too much because we scared of being haters or criticizing and all of that.
We don't do a good job. I tell niggas all the time, man, there's a difference between unk and OG. If niggas call you an unk, you just an old nigga in a way. Niggas call you an OG, that means you have some wisdom to bestow. And I've tried my best to be more of an OG than anything else. And at the same time, I respect my OGs. And we don't do a good job. We do a lot of finger pointing when it comes to the young kids. We do a lot of finger pointing. This, you ain't doing it right. You not doing it this, that. Instead of taking what they're doing and at least enhancing it and giving them a gem. We don't do a lot of passing of the information. And a lot of us are afraid of our place being taken. That's why they won't share the information, because they don't want to, they don't want to lose their spot. You know what I mean? You can, let me tell you, you can never replace a Havoc. I don't care who comes along, right? And he's comfortable in that. You can never replace me. I'm comfortable in that. But there's a lot of older cats in the game hate on the young cats because they don't like the fact that they time in VIP is up. Nigga, it's up.
Right.
It is up. Now VIP is reserved for them young cats. Go home, family. Like it's over. And a lot of cats don't want to, so therefore they don't want to pass the information because they don't want to lose their spot. And that's a lot of our fault. A lot of that is our fault.
True indeed. And that's why I gotta salute you and Dr. Todd Craig for sure. Because look at what y'all doing now, right? Y'all teaching. You know what I'm saying? Y'all interacting with the youth. You understand what I'm saying? And yeah, it is our fault. And for a lot of the the OGs, VIP. No, I'm gonna just say to the unks, VIP is over. You know what I'm saying? Time for the OGs to come in. You understand what I'm saying? And we gotta, we like what happened to It Takes a Village, right? Listen, we could criticize, you know what I'm saying, in a positive way, like, yo, youngin, come here. And that brings me to this. When we first came in the game, I was cool, I was happy. We made a lot of mistakes, tripped, fell, got back up. But then as the years passed and I looked at the OGs that was around at the time, and then when I look back, I'm like, damn, why y'all ain't put us on and tell us to watch out for this hole over here or watch out for that one? And they could have easily did that. And what I'm talking about is something simple. Our masters, they could have told us about, like, yo, son, come here real quick. You about to sign that contract. Keep your masters or fight for it. You understand? You could get that, or don't give up this much of your publishing. You understand what I'm saying? Just give this much. It need to be a committee on that before the young dudes start coming in there. Let them pass through our committee real quick and then send them into the room to sign their contracts. Then he'd be like, the lawyers and everybody be looking at them like, who the fuck you just talked to? Like, oh
Right.
no, I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? You know, we got the Grammy committee, we got all of that, but we need that committee to send them youngins in there armed. You know what I'm saying? With information, so we don't hear the stories about like, yo, you know, when I signed my contract, I didn't know it was this kind of deal, because the lawyers, they not for us. They actually for the labels, because
Well,
one day they're gonna get a job with that record company.
Right.
You understand? So they not trying to ruffle too many fellas with the record company. They're gonna act like they giving you something. So yes, would y'all say that we have a job on our hands? Y'all two are doing it, but the rest of us, the mass of us that claim that we part of the culture, do we have a job to do with these youngins?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I've tried my best, and I mean, teaching comes in so many ways. You know, in a classroom, but even some of the ways some of us talk on Instagram or talk on, you know, Twitter. You know, not only what we say to the younger generation, but what we also say about the young generation in front of people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you don't like this youngin's music.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go on Instagram and Twitter trashing, because
Right.
you don't know what your words can do for that kid's livelihood. That
Mm-hmm.
kid's livelihood off of this one song that you may not like,
Right.
it may has changed the course of his or her family.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Made a way for that kid now to go to private school. Made a way for that kid's mama, for the rapper's mama, to get out of destitute situation, or father. That kid might want to go back to school, him or herself, to make themselves better because of a record they did you don't like. And now you don't went online and say this trash, and you're looked at as not only a pillar, but an influencer. I never ever has gone on Twitter or nothing, man. I don't care what it is. And it's to the point now that if I see, it's a respect level. If I see a kid that's doing it, they know. Knife, I know that ain't your kind of shit, but look, man, check me out. Listen to my joint. What should I do next? Not what should I do, critique my music, but man, what should I do next, man? That's what it is. If you out in public and youngins know who you are, even if you say your name to a youngin, they might be like, and this has come from youngins that I thought that never knew who the fuck I was. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This come from plenty of youngins like, what's up? What's your name? That Knife Wonder. Oh shit, man. Listen, I need to talk to you because of blah. And I might not like their music.
Right.
That's not what they're asking me. They're asking me to help them, guide them down. So we do a whole lot of talking greasy about the next generation's music, forgetting the generation before did it to us. And we do a lot of talking greasy, man. And that's not good, man. That's not good all the time. We can save that conversation into the studio,
right,
in front of them, but we don't have to embarrass these kids, man. I'm really
and the other part that's real important about that I think, Knife, I know you know this, but I'll share this with you because it's important. It's one thing when I'm in the classroom talking to students about y'all and the work that you've done and the music and all of the art. It's another thing when those students see y'all in the flesh and can have those interactions with y'all. So the ways in which they look at y'all as artists is the littlest thing that somebody could say in the negative. You might just think it's something that, oh, I ain't even like that. To this younger generation, it seems like that times a million. Oh, they said it's trash. Like they'll go to a completely different extreme with it.
Yeah. Your shit done been screenshotted. It done went through the post. It done went through their chat. By in 24 hours, it's a whole a crew of young niggas hating you. They like, man, this nigga got up here because what you just said. And it's like sometimes we forget that, man, and we can't do that, man. We just can't do it. We got to uplift as much as we possibly can and just try to be beacons of light and just try to show them that, hey, man, like I've been where you've been. You're gonna do what you want to do, but check this out. You know what I mean? Blah blah blah. But don't trash their music, man. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's, you know, I seen adults go and talk about Sexy Red the way they talk about her.
Right.
All of this stuff. I'm like, man,
right.
You act like you wasn't listening to damn Lil Kim hardcore back in 90s.
Exactly.
You act like that. You act like
when you had the poster in.
You act like that.
Oh, you still in.
You know, on the big poster on the wall. You know
right. Right.
Like, with that purple outfit too, like there's just the one like star covering.
You might not like what she's doing.
Right.
You might not, that might be your thing. I say it all the time. If you don't like it, disengage. Don't look at it. You know, just do like that. That's all you got to do. But we'll spend our time. I ask my students all the time, how many of y'all follow artists you don't like? And they be like,
right.
Wow.
Just to go on their page to
right.
talk about stuff you don't like. I don't engage in nothing I don't like, bro. If I don't like it, it's over there. That's what it is. I'm not about to waste my time going on somebody else's page talking about I don't like them when I can take my time and give my energy to somebody I do like.
There
so
you go.
You know what I mean? That's kind of like where we at, you know?
There you go. And we like, you know, falling into those traps right there is like kind of making that Willie Lynch letter true, right? You know, bringing the old against the young, and you know what I'm saying? This one against that one. And yo, we should all consider each other, especially in this music of ours, family. You know what I mean? And what was you taught when you was in your house with your brothers and sisters and cousins? Y'all don't fight outside. Y'all don't do that. When y'all outside, just stand together and stand strong. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And that's what we got. And there's you know, some music that I don't like today, but I'll never go online and trash these kids because they could be doing something totally different and be in jail or not here. You understand what I'm saying? They doing something, whether you like the music or not, they doing something. They are providing jobs and they providing for their family as well. We might not like the message, but it's a message nonetheless.
Right.
Now, Ninth, I know you said if it's something that you don't like, you disengage from it. Mm-hmm. Since there's a lot of people just in here listening, can you share just a couple artists or a couple albums or some stuff that you do like that you feel hasn't gotten the light that it needs to, or something that people should be listening to right now?
It's so much, man. There's so many artists like across the genre. I mean, across genre. I really love Alex Isley. She is an R&B artist. She's one of the daughters of one of the members of the Isley brothers. If that lets you anything. That lets you know anything.
Right.
Really a fan of her and her music and what she puts out. It's so many, man. There's, you know, that's the beauty now about putting out music. You get a chance to put out exactly what you want to do without the constraints of the middleman far as the label.
Right.
Just, you know, that's Alex Isley, that's Cleo Soul, that's man, so many, my man Mac Ayers. Like there's so many artists that's out that you can just dig into and you can support their music. You can go to their show, you can buy their stuff, you can go home. It might not be plastered everywhere like you would need, because some people need that. But for those who love music, that's, you know, that's what it is, you know? And so I'm strong enough or strong-minded enough to make my own decisions when it comes to music. Everybody ain't that. They need more. They need more qualifiers. They need this. They need that. They need their friends. They like it. They need this. Yeah, somebody has said Kerrang Band. That's another group,
right?
Like that I like, you know, and that's as a matter of fact, I sampled Kerrang Band for my artist Mussolini. I sampled them, and they reached out. They was like, "Yo, man, I like what you did. Let's figure it out," you know. And so that's what it is for me. You know, I try to just dig into people that I like, and if I can't find nobody I like, I just stay in the 90s and I never come back. You know what I mean? I never come back. I just never come back.
Like I walk out the VIP and I just go home.
Yeah, I just go home. I just go where I belong and what raised me. And it's not only 90s hip hop, it's 90s R&B, it's 80s
Right.
R&B. I've really been into studying the likes of way more than before, like Jam and Lewis, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and just that whole black R&B era with Jam and Lewis and Babyface and L.A. Reid and Teddy Riley and that magical time.
And they couldn't miss. They couldn't miss.
It's really not fair, bro. It's really not fair.
Babyface is supreme sniper. Like
It's
there's
really not fair.
man.
Him on the right and the LA on the drums, like it's really not fair, bro. It's really the run that they had, the run that Jam and Lewis, Babyface, L.A. Reid, and Teddy Riley had from like 1984, 85 to like mid to early 90s is incredible, bro. Like they just controlled black R&B music, and it was incredible.
I love watching their stories, you know, Jimmy Jam and Babyface and all of them, watching all of those stories. It just make me want to be better as a producer, because I'm like, if I thought I did something
like Don't Be Cruel.
Oh my God.
This is Heartbreak came out on the same day, right?
Wow.
And it was released on the same day, same label. And you know, L.A. Reid tells a story of how they were working on Don't Be Cruel, and the same A&R that was working on Don't Be Cruel was also working on Heartbreak, and he got Jam and Lewis to do Heartbreak for them to have a competition, and they ain't even know it. It's like that to come out on the same day is crazy. Crazy. God, crazy.
Super crazy. And we know what that Don't Be Cruel did. And right?
And to put it in perspective for some of the younger listeners, the Don't Be Cruel album with Bobby Brown was in New Edition and then left New Edition and did a solo album. So the group he left and his solo album both come out on the same day,
bro. And that's just like
I never knew that.
I think it's like June 3rd. Fact check, Mr. Rock. June 3rd, 1988, or June 4th or July. Fact check for me. June of 1988 or July of 1988. I think June 3rd, 1988, or maybe July 3rd, something. Somewhere around in there. What's the release date of Don't Be Cruel?
Wow.
Don't Be Cruel was June 20th, 1988.
Okay, when was Any Heartbreak?
What was that?
Any Heartbreak by New Edition.
Yeah.
Any Heartbreak.
And me and my brother used to have
one of the two.
June 20th, 1988.
Holy shit. God damn. Yo, Knife, you are fucking good.
Yo, Ninth, you really deserve that professor title, man. That's
Siraj,
good shit right
I thought
there.
you was good, Siraj, but Knife got you beat right now.
Okay, all right. You can't. Ninth has experience and wisdom. Okay, you see the gray in his beard. Ninth has at least 14 years on me. Okay, I found out like yesterday that I'm like maybe like 5 months older than Big Sean, and he puts out this album about having a kid, and I'm like, did I become an unk?
Yeah. Here we are.
Yo, and me and my brother used to listen to Don't Be Cruel. I mean, I was just so in love with that album, man. You know what I mean? Like I like literally after this podcast, I'm going to listen to that. Like for real. Like some of my favorite songs are on there. And yeah, I'm just so glad that we had this conversation right here, man, because it really kind of opened my eyes and let me see things that maybe I wasn't confronting about how we need to curate this thing that we love. You understand what I'm saying? It's a real good conversation, and we need to just tell some of our people's like, relax. You can critique this music, but don't bash our young people for what they doing. You know, like, you know, this, you could take them, you know, pull their coat behind the scenes and be like, yo, and if you don't like some kind of music, then don't follow it. Yeah. And it should always be like that. It should have been like that forever.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Right. And have also curating the culture in terms of like these award systems
Mhm.
and these other places where you need your peers in the room to be
Yeah.
able to make qualified decisions about the music that's coming out and being celebrated.
Yeah, true indeed, man. You know, this conversation with Ninth, it really, you know, I never was ever really mad at the Grammys because I always thought like, hey, you know what, fuck it, they're not gonna nominate us. But I really didn't care. You know what I'm saying? Like Ninth said, it was like, okay, whatever. We still did our numbers and we did what we did. But to just know that our peoples were in the room now, like we in the room and you know, we in there trying to, you know, fix things up. It's like, yo, man, that's fucking dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we're being included in the vote, and that's what it is, man. Like,
But also another thing, Havoc, and also Ninth. I mean, you guys never did it for the Grammy. You never did it for the recognition. You did it for the art, right?
For sure.
So
it was done for the art, man. So, hey, that's what this episode is all about, man. It's for the love, it's for the art, it's upholding our culture and all of those fine things. Knife, man, I want to thank you for coming on. I really, truly appreciate this shit. Like, I'm gonna be rewinding this back and taking notes.
And I have a statement. I've been holding this statement, and I know I'm gonna get an argument for it. And I'm not saying this because you're here. I've asked this question to. Let me see what I asked this to. I asked it to Young Guru.
Mm-hmm.
I've asked Kid Capri. I've asked a few people from our era, and this is, you know, in my astute, I guess, kind of sort of wisdom of this culture and everything I listen to, I've come to the conclusion that, well, it might not have sold the most, and it might not be the most studied, but the Infamous is the greatest New York rap record around of all time. I know you've heard this. I know it. There is no album that represents hip hop in New York City more than the Infamous. I can't. And we've had some great ones. We've had everything from Criminal Minded,
right,
all the way down to Get Rich or Die Trying,
right.
But the essence of how outsiders look at New York City, it's one album and one song. And I said this too. Shook Ones is the greatest New York boom bap record ever made. I'm not saying that just because you ain't here, but niggas know me, and I've said this. I gotta go find a tweet. I tweeted it not a couple of months ago, maybe.
Yeah, I think I saw that. I saw that.
You saw? I see.
Yes, I did. I saw that.
I saw that. I'm glad you saw it.
I did.
Think I'm just saying it.
No doubt. I saw that.
Infamous, I mean, is the greatest. I said two things. I said the Infamous is the greatest New York album of hip hop album of all time, and I said Prodigy had the greatest opening lines in rap music history.
Hell yeah. And let me I appreciate you to the fullest, because when it's coming from you, it really does mean a lot and it holds weight. And outside of the Grammys, and we never really cared about the Grammys, when you get a nod from Ninth, that's all the Grammy you need.
And have you also got to know that Ninth had a whole list of his producer DNA. And you're on that list of those.
You learned the street from you, Have. You learned the street from you.
Did you see it?
Yes, I did. I did, man. I did.
I said that to you, Have.
And I said, Knife, you are hip hop's DNA. I remember that. Yes, you are hip hop's DNA. Thank you again, my brother, for real.
Thank you, man.
Keep doing what you're doing.
I will.
And letting them youngest know, man.
Yes, sir.
You know, so we keep curate this, man. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, man.
Peace, y'all.